Um, restarting at 7 minutes. Thank you for letting me know that the microphone was not working. I swear to goodness, this cat chewing my microphone. So, welcome to Elements of Success. We are back with our penultimate episode, the golden thread. We have brought all of this together over the course of this last year. 28 episodes times 2. We are over a year now, and it has been such an honor to be here with you all in this series, and it's hard to believe that we are coming down to the final one. So, just in case you are stumbling across me for your first time, I'm Safriana Luna, the Queer Spirit Guide. I'm a Druidic priestess, a post-traumatic growth mentor, and a trauma therapist. And I love to teach. It has been an honor to teach the elements of success for the Passionistas TV, and hard to believe that we are landing here at the end. So just to check in with the last episode, we talked about the shadow and light dance and how these two elements weave together to be the wings that allow us to take flight in the world. So I invite you to consider and reflect back. What unaligned light pattern did you name perhaps for the first time? What did you notice about it? And, for me, I was just noticing patterns of like little stories of overworking and coming back in. And that is unaligned light, right? It looks good on the surface, but it's still depleting. So with gentle awareness, we can begin to really liberate ourselves. When you applied the 4-step alchemical process, which is self-awareness, self-ownership, self-acceptance, and self-love, what shifted for you, if anything? Just noticing what comes when we really tune into ourselves and we give ourselves the compassion that we need to move forward. So at this point in our series, we have danced with the shadow, we have tended our light, we have learned to move between them with compassion and fluidity, and now we are weaving everything together. So just to recap the journey we have been on through this last year, we've explored the stories that form your foundation, the earth beneath your feet. We have mapped the energy that animates your life, the air that moves through you. We have sparked your intentions and alchemized your actions, the fire of your will. We have honored your cycles, your seasons, your emotional tides, the water of your becoming. You have owned your place in the web of community and the collective, the aether that holds it all. You've gone into shadow and witnessed what you were taught to exile and found that your needs actually lived there. And finally, you've tended your light, genuine nourishment and self-care. Now we are following the golden thread that connects every single piece together. So just as a reminder, the elements are not separate. They don't exist in isolation. We need to look closely at one piece at a time. But we are also whole. So because of the nature of this series, we needed to zoom in on one element and one aspect at a time to really get the depth that we needed there. And that's what we need in life. We need some depth to go there, but we also need the opportunity to really be in our wholeness. So that is what this is bringing us back to, is pull it all together, weave it all together. And this is where you get to play and have fun. I remember there was a video game that I played back when I was like probably in early middle school. It was one of the very first like Xbox games when Xbox first came out. And it was an elemental video game where the main character would do these combos to basically make different magical powers. And that's kind of what we are playing with here. It's like, how does your earth ground your fire, right? Without foundation, fire would burn wildly out of control. So without some stories that are really rooted in your reality, your dreams, your goals, your creative fire might burn absolutely wild and free and get you nowhere. Air moves your water. Breath and awareness allow emotions to flow through you rather than stagnate. Fire transforms your earth. It makes the stories you stand on be able to be changed. Fire makes it possible. Water cools that fire down. Rhythm and seasons prevent you from burning out and keep your flame sustainable. And then aether is like holding it all. It's the connective field. It's the community, the collective consciousness, and our sense of belonging. And then finally, the shadow and light dance together. They are not opposites. They're partners. Both wings are required for flight. So the elements in your own life are always in conversation. And when one is out of balance, you might feel it in the others. There can be this ripple effect. If you find yourself stagnating intellectually, you're not stimulating your mind enough, you're not giving yourself new recharged energy, you might find yourself emotionally overwhelmed, your water out of balance, right? So just playing and noticing how when one area of life goes kind of sideways, others might as well. And we want to tend the holistic picture of who we are. All right. So the seasons framework, this is my signature framework that I use to work one-on-one with clients. And that birthed this series as well, because I really realized in my decades of work with people that we all have these foundational elements, figurative and literal, that we build our lives around. And when they are out of alignment, when they're not really true to ourselves, we feel deeply dissatisfied. And so much of my work in the world is helping people find that soul aligned success, that deep satisfaction of being who you are here to be. And so the elements of success is simply the framing of the seasons melded with our elemental symbolism. So on this journey through this arc of the series, we have covered stories and earth. This was the ground you stand on, the narratives that form your foundation. Then we went into E, energy and air, your life force, your boundaries, the breath that animates your presence. A was for aligned actions and your fire. This was your intention, your creative expression, your sacred destruction, and the sustainability of your flame. Our second S was for seasons and water. This is your cycles, your emotional wisdom, the rhythm and flow of doing and being, of stillness and action. O for ownership and ether. This is our radical self-acceptance, our accountability, our community, our place in the whole. And for needs and shadows, what went underground, what we retrieved through excavation and using our voice. And then finally, our last S for self-care and light. Genuine tending, not performance, but the light that has roots in the dark. So what I want to say, now that you have seen the whole framework in action through the course of this series, is that this is a ladder. There's a typo on the slide, because the framework is not meant as a ladder that you climb once and arrive at a single destination. It is a map that you return to again and again and again from different places in your life. So this framework is meant as a ladder that you can climb, but then you can climb it again and again and again. And it might be different ladders. It might be different areas of your life that you're like, I need to look at how I'm in relationship with my stories right now. I need to look at how I'm in relationship with my shadow and suppressing my needs right now. Like, you're never going to get to one place where you've landed and everything just makes sense and it's perfect. That's just not how it works. And that's definitely not how the shadow light dance works, where we are constantly going in and out of comfort and discomfort, doing and being, growing and stillness, etc. So the golden thread, where does this actual term come from? I don't actually know the exact origin of the golden thread. That's the funny part. But it's this concept that when you roll it back far enough, everything comes from the same places. We all roll back to some of the same spiritual realities, the same physical realities. So the elements, earth, air, fire, water, and a fifth element that holds them, or an alternative fifth element, appear across various world and spiritual traditions, described in many different languages and honored through many different practices. And I just wanted to throw a few of these out here as we wrap up our series. Across cultures and centuries, human beings have named this same recognition of these sorts of magical, esoteric realities, that we are made of the same stuff as the world around us. We're made of the same stardust that the universe is made of. Our bodies are dynamic. Our lives move in cycles. And our healing is connected to the health of the whole. When you really look into traditions around the world, especially our indigenous traditions that are actually rooted in communion with the land, you definitely see these lessons about cycles and the interconnectedness of the whole. And that is really so much of the golden thread. the through line of wisdom that when you follow it back far enough to any tradition, again, seems to arrive at the same root, a core form of spiritual truth. It is not that all traditions are the same. I do not want us to whitewash and bring everything down to like a pinpoint where it's like everything is the same. And so let's all just be the same. No, they are not. And collapsing them into one universal story erases the specificity that makes each tradition alive and sacred. And they are all important because we're all unique individual humans having a unique individual human experience. But we are also a part of the universe. We are also a part of the whole. So beyond our differences, many weave together the recognition of belonging, of interconnection, of cyclical time, and sort of this dark and light as parts of the whole. So different cultures that have mapped the elements and traditions with their own specificity. We have Celtic and Druidic traditions where earth, air, fire, water, aether, or spirit were living intelligences woven into seasonal practices and the wheel of the year, which is the foundation of my work and this series. There's Ayurveda. Ayurveda comes out of ancient India and is one of the most incredible expressions of the elements in our bodies. Like, go look at Ayurveda. It is so darn cool. And we have earth, water, fire, air, space, or ether represented in the doshas, in the maps of individual constitution and health. So our bodies are mapped to elements in Ayurveda, which is just super cool. In classical Greek philosophy, earth, air, fire, water were huge components. And then later Aristotle named the fifth element ether, as in the substance of the heavens. We have Chinese Taoist traditions. We have the 5 elements there: wood, fire, earth, metal, water, used in traditional Chinese medicine. There's seasonal attunement and the understanding of dynamic change. Tibetan Buddhist traditions: earth, water, fire, air, space. Japanese Buddhist traditions, you have earth, water, fire, wind, and void or sky. And this comes through in their martial arts, their architecture, their spiritual practices. And then, of course, many, many indigenous traditions across the globe. There are 4 directions associated with elemental energies, though these vary wildly from nation to nation. So, no generalizations here. And some are sacred and are not public. They're not publicly shared. But we have so many traditions across the world that honor these elements. And so it's just fun for us to appreciate them, to see this golden thread that weaves it all together. And that's why I want to take this opportunity to just readdress appreciation versus appropriation. Appreciation is learning from a tradition with curiosity, humility, and genuine respect, right? It is walking into something, getting to know it like another human being, not trying to extract from it, not trying to take from it, but learning genuinely from it. Appreciation involves acknowledging the source, naming and understanding where our knowledge and wisdom might come from, if there is such a place. There are sometimes we literally can't remember where we learned something. We can't give credit because we genuinely don't know where to give credit. And that can be okay. But there is a big difference between appreciation and appropriation still. So we want to really be feeling that in ourselves. We want to respect that some practices are genuinely not yours to take. They are only to honor from a distance or to find your own version of something. Doing your own ongoing education and seeking fresh perspectives means that you are learning to appreciate a wider breadth of perspectives. And that is something that's really, really needed, that we continue to get these broad perspectives that are not isolated just to our own. And then we have appropriation. So the appropriation causes harm when practices are extracted from their cultural and spiritual context and commodified. So I have a lot of strong feelings about this, and I'm going to try not to soapbox a ton here, but there are a lot of people in the world who unfortunately will learn new spiritual information, or they'll learn a new practice and they want to go and charge money for it right away. It is not based on necessarily them doing their self-work with what they're learning, but trying to use it as an opportunity to go out and charge in the world. And we all deserve to make money in the world. We all deserve to be in our gifts and offer them and be well compensated for what we do. But again, I'm not going to soapbox too much. But when we learn something literally just to immediately go try to make money from it, before we've even learned and embraced and embodied it in ourselves, it can be a problem. So there's this internal, how do I want to put it? Like an internal question we need to ask ourselves about our intentions. And I'll talk a little bit more about this, but remember that those who originated many of these practices still face discrimination or erasure today while others profit from them. And that is why this is such an important thing to me, is that there are still people of color, Indigenous people, non-white people out in the world doing non-Christian things who continue to face discrimination and erasure and violence, while other people, often white people, adopt these practices, package, and charge for them. And that is where we need to fight a different fight. So if credit is being erased from the original practitioners, or the original practitioners are bypassed, that can be appropriation. And then sacred practices becoming branding or aesthetics. Not everything needs to be an Instagram picture, right? Not everything needs to look picture perfect or borrow from sacred and beautiful traditions in order to achieve a particular brand or look. So your spiritual path is yours to build, but please, please, please build it with integrity and consideration for the people you've learned from, the people whose land you are on, the people who came before you, the ancestors of this land. And avoid spiritual bypassing and commodification. So spiritual bypassing uses wisdom to avoid the work. This looks like invoking impermanence to skip grief, using high vibes only to exile shadows, claiming acceptance without ever actually allowing our anger or sadness or our grief, and applying frameworks as armor rather than tools for genuine integration. So spiritual bypassing is a really important topic to me. But at the end of the day, at its definition, it is using that spiritual practice or wisdom to try to avoid doing your shadow work, to try to avoid feeling your feelings. And instead, the invitation is to use your spiritual tools to feel your feelings, to allow yourself to have an experience that moves you through. And then spiritual commodification is also part of what I was talking about with the appropriation, which is when we capitalize on the work, meaning we extract a practice from its living roots while others are suffering. We take without acknowledgement, or with bettering ourselves without others. Or we repackage the teaching or turn it into a product before we've actually let it transform us. And I have a little note here. The shaman Michelle Hawk said something that really stayed with me, which was, don't hang your shingle right away. Give yourself the spaciousness to receive a teaching fully before you begin offering it right away to others. When we rush from learning to selling, we commodify the practice and we cheat ourselves out of the depth that it could have actually given us, right? And for me, as somebody who has trained as a classically trained, degreed, licensed therapist, we went through 3 years of schooling before that sort of 3rd/4th year of internship and learning hands-on, and then during the internship doing the work and not getting paid for it, but getting feedback and learning and growing. And then you have to continue to get training, and then you get your degree, and then you have to get your license. So there's like this natural thing that makes sure that a therapist doesn't just hang their therapist hat and say, I'm going to be a therapist, I've started my learning. But we have to actually go through a lot of the learning first before we prove that we've done the learning to get the license. And in the spiritual world, in the healing world, in the coaching world, that doesn't those steps don't exist. And so it is essential that we do our work. Be honest, be humble, and do the real work. Give credit where it's due, and make sure that you didn't just do a certificate course that took you a couple of weeks and you have no practice and you hang your shingle and you start doing this thing. Give yourself a little more runway to integrate in yourself, to have the work on yourself. I was also a priestess for 7 years before announcing to anyone that I was a priestess, because I wanted to actually know that I was a priestess and have that in myself before I brought it into the world. Similarly with my druidry, though a lot of that was based more on fear, I wasn't really out about my druidry probably for a decade. And now I'm going on 2 decades of practice. So we don't have to rush. We live in a society that makes it seem like we have to rush because scarcity. But know that you can allow the work to transform you. And I'm so glad that this series has been powerful for you, Amy and Nancy, and anyone else watching. It has been truly a delight. So as another reminder of what we have been exploring this entire series, we are interconnected with the earth and all of her beings. We are all a part of the same whole. And so your personal practice is a planetary healing practice. This teaching has threaded throughout this whole series. When you tend to your rhythms, you become more sensitive to the rhythm of the natural world. You return more to your nature. When you rest, you participate less and less in a culture of extraction, and we all need less extraction. When you heal your relationship with your own body, you heal your relationship with the body of the earth. And when you work with your own shadow, you contribute to the collective shadow work that humanity very desperately needs right now. When you excavate violence in yourself, you are helping excavate violence in the world. When you help heal the abuses that you've endured, you help heal the abuses the world is enduring. And your healing is not separate from the world's healing in any way, shape, or form. It never was. What you tend in yourself, you end up bringing to the whole. So if you hide away from that, right, you never have that opportunity for that deep interconnected weaving of healing that we all have the opportunity to do here. So why not? Why not heal together? This has all been about seeing patterns in your own life. And if you've been with me for the whole series chronologically, you might be dropping in during the live run. You might be now rewatching the entire series as a course. However you have come to this, look back at the distance you have traveled since our time together and orient yourself to really how far you have come. And here are some reflection questions that you might journal about, especially as you come to the end of this series. But where have you grown? And what has genuinely shifted for you? What patterns do you notice keep appearing across elements, across seasons, across the spiral of your own healing? How do these elements show up for you? Which ones feel most familiar and which ones feel most challenging? And what have you been carrying through this journey that you are now ready to put down? We don't want to carry the heavy luggage for forever. Once we see that it's there, we have the opportunity to put it down or to move towards the work of putting it down. So whatever and wherever you are, know that there is nothing but perfect timing. There is no perfect time. Everything is perfect time. You're exactly where you need to be. And you have come so far. So please never forget that. You have come so far. Give yourself the opportunity to look back. And if you recall from very early on in the series, I talked about the upward spiral and trauma north. That's this work. It's looking back and seeing how far we've come. And that even though we'll be uncomfortable again, even though we'll get triggered again, even though there will be a challenging circumstance again, we are farther than we've ever been, and we can handle it better than we ever could. But this is your unique alchemy. No two people are ever going to receive these teachings the same way. You bring your own history, your own cultural context, your own body, your own wounds, and your own gifts. Your unique alchemy is what happens when you take these teachings, these offerings I have given you, and you move them through the filter of your specific, irreplaceable life. I am not the expert on you, you are. What this work reveals is specific to you, not a general truth, but your truth. So please remember, you are no longer expected to operate by a copy of someone else's map for your life. You are being invited to create that map of your own. And there's no finish line here. The seasons framework is not a course you complete and set aside. It's the way of understanding what's happening in your life and what you might need at different points in time. So remember, you will return to these elements again and again. The earth of your stories when an old narrative resurfaces. The air of your energy when you are depleted and you don't know why. The fire of your aligned actions when your flame is starting to dim. The water of your seasons when you're starting to feel out of rhythm. The aether of your community when you feel like you're losing your sense of belonging. The shadow of your needs when something goes underground. And the light of genuine self-tending when you realize that you have been performing rather than living. This is the spiral. This is the gift you come back to, knowing more than you did before. Every time you complete a circle on that spiral upward, you can look back down and see exactly how far you've come. So, our second to last meditation in this series, let's just take a moment to drop in here. Just feel your body here in this present moment, head to toe. Maybe you roll the shoulders, maybe you roll the ankles and wrists, whatever feels good to you here, just to come into the present moment in your body. Maybe you put a hand on your heart, a hand on your belly, or down in your sacral center, wherever feels good for you in this moment to make gentle, loving contact with yourself. And we're just going to do a sort of elemental bath here. With each element that I share, I invite you to imagine a color or colors you associate with that element washing over you. See, sense, know that element surrounding you, infusing you, just receiving this energy, this symbolism, this loving reality, however feels right for you. So we'll start with earth. The element of earth traveling up through your feet into your body. You might imagine green, brown, gray, the colors of the earth infusing you. As you breathe, allowing the earth energy to roll up your body. Know this element as a part of you. Air, allowing the element of air to swirl around you like a gentle breeze. Feeling the air on your skin, the breath moving through your body. Perhaps you imagine clear, white, yellow, whatever color for air comes to mind, washing over and around you, maybe breathing it in. Integrating and accepting the energy of air within you. And next, fire. Feeling the heat of fire within your heart, the spark of your flame right inside you, an animating force, the power of your will. And as you breathe, imagine that fire growing in size or strength, whatever feels good for you. And you might breathe in the yellow, orange, red of fire. Just knowing that this flame animates you allows you to follow that soul spark. This fire is always within you. And water, now imagining perhaps rain falling down on you and gently cleansing your skin, or that you're wading into water and allowing yourself to be cleansed as any stuck, sticky, stagnant emotions or just outdated things get swept away by the water, moved through you. Another season passing, another energy released that no longer serves. Perhaps breathing in aqua, blue, green, whatever colors come to mind for water. And now connecting out to the space around you, to the planet around you, noticing the spaciousness between your body and other nearby physical things. Maybe the things that you are actually in contact with, a chair, a couch, a bed, the floor, the earth, your clothes. Noticing how your body is connected to things outside of your body. The aether out of it all. Zooming out and seeing that aether of space, the planet, a little blue, white, and green dot. Zooming out and seeing the stars and the other planets as you zoom further and further out. This is the aether, the interconnected whole. So perhaps breathing in purple, black, or even the sparkly, glittery stuff of the stars. Feeling yourself interconnected with the whole. And then finally, touching base with the wings on your back again, the shadow and the light wing. Allowing the shadow and the light wing to unfurl, perhaps physically rolling your shoulder blades, imagining you're flapping those wings, knowing that you have the capacity to do the dance, to take flight in your own shadow light journey. The shadow, subtle, sensual, where your desires lie. Breathing in the deep dark, feeling it infuse you. And then feeling into that light wing, active, visible, alive, breathing in pure white light. The vibrancy of it all. And seeing these wings flapping together, conscious and unconscious, doing and being. Seriousness and play, pleasure and purpose. They all work together. And now I invite you to open the palms of your hands and receive. Imagine energy or positive emotion, loving emotions pouring into your open palms as I offer you some affirmations. You are exactly where you need to be. You're exactly who you need to be. There is no need to chase perfection. You are already perfect. It is simply a time to receive that which is meant for you, to stop chasing old patterns that were passed down by generations and generations who didn't actually know what they wanted. You know what you want. You want to feel successful by your own standards. You want to feel satisfied in your life. You want to feel excited to wake up tomorrow. You want to feel purposeful, like your life has meaning, like you're having an impact, that you belong and are surrounded by people who enjoy your presence. And you can have all of this and more. The universe pouring into your open palms, love, compassion, play, joy, pleasure, peace, safety. The universe giving you exactly what you want. So be careful what you want. Allow yourself to call in better and to be grateful for what is already here. You are so worthy. You are so loved. And you are so beautifully multidimensional with your own seasons, your own elements, your own flow, your rhythm, your nature. So receive the love that is here for your own beautiful, unique beingness. And I am pouring love out to you as well. Absolute unconditional love for the beauty that you are. And may you feel that, and may you let it radiate from your chest out through all of your limbs and light up your heart like a beacon, knowing you are seen, you are loved, and you are constantly being cheered on by seen and unseen support. I love you so very much, and may you extend that love to yourself every moment of every day until it becomes as natural as breathing. And I invite you, if your palms are still open, to bring them to your heart center, to imagine yourself sealing in and giving yourself all this good energy, these good vibes, these positive emotions, these felt senses that you are so loved and so worthy. All of the elements exist within you, and you can play with them, notice them, be with them, strengthen them. Your power is unlimited, beloved. So taking a nice deep breath here and just receiving the elements as they come to you. And then letting go completely of the practice. Stretching, letting the eyes blink open if they are still closed. I'm taking a moment to look around your space. Our second to last, no tiger twist. It's hard to believe we're here at the end. So, as we land, as always, an invitation for reflection and just some curiosity here. Across all 7 components of the seasons framework, where do you feel most resourced right now? Is it in your stories, your energy, your aligned action, your season of life, your ownership needs, or self-care? And where is there the most shadow material that is still asking for your attention? That's an important thing to notice without judgment. We will always have shadow material to work with. Every single one of us. I'm over here working in my own shadow material literally all this last week in the deep, deep work with it. It's an ongoing journey. Have fun with it, play, and know that this framework supports you to know what to look for, those little warning signs. And the ultimate question, what are you willing to do to tend to yourself? What are you willing to do to really care for yourself? It's important, perhaps more important than we really realize because of societal programming. And these are integration questions, again, as we come to the end of the series, things to look back on, questions to really do some deep dive journaling about. How do you see the elements working together in your life right now? What patterns do you see threading through your entire journey across element seasons, what you've been learning and integrating? What's your personal golden thread, that through line of your wisdom? And what does it mean for you to actually live embodied, not as a concept, but as a daily practice. So feel free to consider these things, come back to them when you feel called to really deep dive and look at them. And know that, again, you are supported by seen and unseen helpers. So, my friends, that brings us to the end of today's episode. Coming up is our final episode, episode 29, and it is living the questions. This is what comes next, right? Now that you've learned the framework, we've talked through all of the things, all of the elements, all of the practices that you could do. Next, we close with answers, or we close not with answers rather, but with the questions that keep us honest and alive. We close with the knowing that the answers are going to continue to come to us. They're going to continue to unfold in living. There is no arrival. Again, growth spirals, not straight lines. Curiosity is a lifelong practice and an energy we all need to embrace more of. Finding peace in our process and releasing our perfectionism. Trusting our own unique timing and path, and surprise, surprise, following pleasure and joy even when the way isn't clear, as has been another important thread through this series. And finally, your responsibility and your gift. What do you do with what you've learned in this series? So I will see you one more time for the elements of success, and then who knows what the future brings. But it has been an absolute delight to move through this process with you. And we'll wrap up next time. So until then, my friends, I see you, I believe in you, and I'm cheering you on. We've got this. We will get through this. And I really believe that the elements we've explored are important and foundational to it all. So if I can support you in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out. And otherwise, I'll see you back here one more time. Bye for now.